Socials I had to go to, all the lodges I had to play, all the Shriners I said hello to. Hey LA, I'm coming your way. Some people sit on their butts, got the dream, yeah, but not the guts. That's living for some people, for some humdrum people, I suppose. Well, they can stay and rot.
Hello, I'm Thomas John Carruthers.
I'm William John Leggetter.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
I don't know where. We both have that. There we go, though. We both have the same middle name. That's it.
The same middle name. Yeah.
It's a true thing. However, after spending a fortnight with Gypsy, I am considering changing it to Thomas Rose Lee Carruthers. Well, we were talking the last episode why we haven't done a drag, me drag Miss Lovett and you as Sweeney Todd. I'm not even. This one isn't even a joke. This I don't like. Literally, you as Herbie, me as me as Madame Rose in drag. Not even like
it works.
Faking.
It really works.
Yeah, not even faking the performance. Not even doing like a. I kept thinking about the birdcage, and I kept thinking about when he goes, it may be a drag show, but it still has to be a good drag show. And I was thinking, I would not do these songs, you know, as ham-fisted and I'm gonna do man. I was like, that was a pretty bad Ethel Merman. Today I can do that today, but everybody can do that anyway. But I think we could stage that, and it would be critically acclaimed, and the reviews would pile in. But anyway, I love Gypsy. I think it's a perfect musical. I think it's one of the greatest musicals of all time. Will, why are we talking about Gypsy?
Why are we talking about Gypsy? Because Mr. Sondheim wrote the lyrics.
He did.
Did he just write the lyrics? That's the big question.
Well, we're going to talk about this later. But so we've already talked about West Side Story multiple times on the show. And so we're moving into his next big project, which was writing the lyrics for Gypsy. Then next week, we will be doing, next episode rather, a funny thing happened on the way to the forum. Our first show that we're going to look at where he did the music and lyrics. However, this is just another all-star team like West Side Story. Jerome Robbins doing the choreography and directing, Arthur Lawrence doing the book, and then later in life, helming the Tyne Daly production, the Pamela Pone production as director, Jules Stein doing the music, and Stephen Sondheim doing the lyrics. It's just another one of those all-star teams, much like the case of West Side Story, obviously with a lot of overlap again, that you just, it's a product of a different time. I think when you look at the budget of this, when you look at the structure of this, when you look at just the matter of characters, you've got a whole child's cast that is in it for half an hour and then disappears. And that, like, literally, just from a boring budgeting point of view, those sorts of shows don't get made anymore.
No.
I'd love to, I think, a version of a Come Fly With Me movie. I, of course, don't mean Come Fly With Me. I mean Come From Away. I was going to say a Come From Away movie.
Come Fly With Me.
Although Come Fly With Me itself would be a good film. But Come From Away is one of those, you know, it's a nice little musical, but, you know, it's an hour 40 and everybody's playing different roles. And I think when you're trying to tell the story of these, you know, close to 1,000, I think, people, more. Anyway, this huge amount of people in this small town. I mean, it's hard with a musical because, you know, pardon me, budgets, but
Bless you.
you're never going to convey that with multi-rolling and 15 actors. I mean,
No.
you can, and they do, but I'd love to see that as a film where you can actually cast 100 people and more. And I think that Gypsy is one of those things where it was like, it was almost immediately a modern classic. Although we'll talk about the productions through the years and it's sort of finding its footing, but it's one of those things now where you can't touch it and you can't change anything. So you have to have a dog and you have to have 20 kids and you have to have Tulsa and June, who never show up for the second act at all.
Yep.
Not even for like a glimpse. There's no multi-rolling. Well, no, there's a little bit with Uncle Jocko. There's a little bit. But it's one of those things where it's just a big old musical. It's epic in scale, epic in cast, epic in production, epic in its story and its songs. And you just have to take it as it is. And it leads to a very rare failure rate. I mean, there are a couple we're going to talk about, but it leads to a very successful ratio because it is a perfect musical. I mean, this is a Sondheim quote for you. Gypsy holds up so well because it's about people. I believe it's one of the best shows ever written, the last good one in the Rodgers and Hammerstein form. So, because it does feel like something of a bygone era, perhaps. It does feel grand in scale and very classical as well. Another Sondheim quote here: like Citizen Kane, arrogant though the comparison may be, there's not a moment in Gypsy that isn't entertaining. Again, completely agree. There's no bum number. There's no. I watched it with my ex, and she wasn't a big fan of all the Dainty June stuff and all the big numbers, and all the big child numbers, and she found them quite annoying and shrill.
Me too.
But would you cut them?
No.
Because you can't, because that's the story you're telling.
I can't. Yeah.
And I think there's enough genuine humor injected, like with the droppings of the cane and the kid and the one kid who's always out of step. And I think the opening one is just like, oh, these kids are very talented, that's great. But then when it gets to they're not adults, they're somewhere, well, they are adults, obviously, but it's like these grown men still playing the kids' roles. Yeah, it's like Saturday Night Live did a sketch, and it was like, you know, she's still in the show, and like Mama Rose is in this wheelchair, and she's like elderly, and it was Harry Styles week or whatever. And the joke was that, oh, wow, you know, they're all old. But that's not really a sketch or a parody because that's already in Gypsy. But anyway, I'm sure they were musical fans. You don't, write that sketch if you're not like, okay, I want to see Eddie Bright play Mama Rose, which I'd be all for. So the way that we do this, we're a little bit about the biography and a little bit how this show got made. We're going to be looking specifically today at the 2015 Savoy production that was filmed and pro-shot, starring, of course, Imelda Staunton and Lara Pulver and Brian Davison, just because it's phenomenal.
Peter.
Peter what?
Peter Davison.
What did I say?
Brian.
I don't know. Brian and Peter. That rings a bell. Peter and Brian.
Peter and Brian. Brian
and then
Peter.
Yesterday I was working a party and they played da 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 da, and in my head for the whole 5 minutes I just had Sarah Hadland going, a bit repetitive, isn't it?
That was scary that we both got number 9 IRL things yesterday, didn't we?
Why? What was yours?
Did you see the card I sent you?
Oh, yes. Oh, of course I did. Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot that was yesterday.
Creepy.
I'm having a lovely Manhattan for our video listeners. Video listeners. Kind of an oxymoron. Video watchers. Gypsy, a musical fable suggested by the memoirs of Gypsy Rose Lee, book by Arthur Lawrence, music by Julie Stein, and lyrics by Stephen Sondheim. It's dedicated for for Erna Fillmore, the grandest maternal cannibal of them all. The action of the play covers a period from the early 20s to the early 30s and takes place in various cities throughout the country. Again, talking about scale. If you read that and you're a producer,
yeah,
I think we talked about this in the 6 by Sondheim episode, but just the way, basically, Sondheim was brought on to do music and lyrics. It was an Ethel Merman project. They wanted to turn it into a musical, all that sort of thing. Gypsy Rose Lee's memoir was a great success, but I don't think it can be underestimated. She was still performing. This wasn't a bygone woman. She was still performing, and I think there is a great humility to the real life Gypsy Rose Lee to have your memoir optioned, and then for the creative team to come to you and go, okay, we love the book, we want to make it into a musical, but we want it almost entirely to be about your mother. And it is about you. You're there, and you are definitely a co-lead. Hot take, I guess. I mean, she's not. It's definitely, anyway. The role of Gypsy is a huge role, but anyway. But yeah, we want it to be about your mother, and for her to be just completely into it. And, you know, like for years after, she said, yeah, no, I love the show. I think, you know, I think she was very honest about how, no, the show did her proud is a weird way to phrase it, but she was happy with the show. That's all to be said. She wasn't like, this is a ridiculous caricature. This isn't the way it happened. It seems to very much be the way it all happened.
I love that.
With some hilarious numbers in there also. Sondheim, so Sondheim was brought in to do music and lyrics. However, Ethel Merman got brought in to play Mama Rose. It was sort of, the project came about with Merman in the role. It was built around her, which of course was eventually Hammerstein's advice to Sondheim. Still take the job, even though you're just doing the lyrics, because you've never written specifically for somebody before. And I think it, and so Sondheim was quite annoyed. Basically, Merman got burned on the last show she did, which was from 2 new composers. And she said, no, get in Julie Stein. And of course, the music here is exceptional. And this is one of the greatest overtures ever. Certainly one of my favorites. And yeah, Hammerstein said, do it because you've never written specifically for somebody before. And I think it's a weird one in that it's still such an everlasting show. And Mama Rose is one of these iconic characters that every female, they say it over and over again. It's the King Lear of musical theatre for female performers. And yet it was almost entirely specifically written for Ethel Merman.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I think, which is why I want to give a big props to Angela Lansbury when we get there, because she was the one who sort of was the first person to have a revival. And she was like, oh no, you can do it this way. And then suddenly that opens up every single door ever. Because as much as I love Phantom, and I love that it's a history piece, and I love that it's a museum piece, there is a thing about it where it never had that break. It was never off for 5 years, which then meant there would be a revival where somebody would do it entirely differently. There is a world in my head where I go, what would 5 different revivals of Phantom look like? I'm not saying that any would be better.
You definitely have some contemporary twists, ones.
But anyway. So yeah, so
the new Oklahoma revival.
Oh Jesus Christ! Did Stephen Sondheim see that? He did see a lot. I know he left Be More Chill after the first act.
Did he?
Yes, that got around musical theatre.
Michael in the bathroom is good.
Shame that's the second act, isn't it? I saw Be More Chill.
Yeah,
it was fine.
It
was fine.
The set is terrible.
It's just a big screen. It's shows like this, and it's shows like Gypsy, and it shows like Phantom, where you go, oh yeah, a big set.
Yeah.
And it's so great. And the Patti LuPone Gypsy production was a little bit stripped down. I think that's because it came from the Encores set of performances, which are a more stripped down affair, and they're sort of limited seasons and all that sort of thing. And then they were like, oh, no, let's just take this to Broadway. And so they kept a little bit of that stripped down nature. But this just goes full hog. It's at the Savoy, a huge, lovely theatre. I saw 9 to 5 and Pretty Woman there. And it's just a huge, great space. And yeah, very lovely theatre. Sondheim on the lyrics. I was heartsick, but I did it. And part of me is glad because I think it's a first-rate show. And part of me is sorry because it delayed my work as a composer just that much longer. It also interrupted a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum for 6 months. Julie Stein. Knowing that Steve wanted to write the whole score, I decided that I would never pull rank on him. Steve is very astute. He worked very closely with Arthur. And when we started working, Steve would come over to my place. God, we had a ball. So I think it's rather nice to hear quotes like that from Julie Stein. I think he was a very humble man, and I think he knew the situation. And of course, everybody at one point or another is at not rock bottom, but starts at the bottom. And so hearing those stories of respect is quite nice. What's your relationship to Gypsy, Will?
I've never seen it. I know the soundtrack very well. Yeah, I've never properly gone full on Gypsy. So it was nice to watch it.
Finally sink into the world.
Yeah.
So let's talk about another possibility for the show, in that Jerome Robbins originally conceived it as this grand panorama of acts, as the way it's been described, with animal acts and burlesque acts, and it would be this, you know, the dying days of vaudeville show, and Gypsy Rose Lee and Mama Rose would like pass through. A bit like Company. That to me sounds horrific. Yeah. Maybe it's because what we do get is one of the greatest shows of all time. But I just, it can't be underestimated to me. That just sounds terrible. Because, yeah, vaudeville and pastiche is very enjoyable, but you've got to have something bringing you back. Follies, the pastiche numbers in that are incredibly delightful and fun. But then they're constantly in juxtaposition. And the way that it was described in those original sketches of just them passing through and them being the scenes just rang just a little bit. Well, we know what it's like because we get the kids' numbers in this, and they're incredibly fun, and they're directed very well. And as we've already discussed, the humor of it all. But it can only get you so far. Like the strip, the final strip, and that being a montage through the years. Her changing character, that's what leads us through that. I don't think, because in so many ways, when you read the memoir of Gypsy Rose Lee, which I haven't done, but that's the show. The strip could be its own 2.5-hour show.
Yeah.
You know, if you buy the rights to Gypsy Rose Lee's memoir, that's the show that you think you're going to get. It's not a 5-minute number almost at the very end that gives an arc to a character who's not arcless. That's a complete underestimation of the character, and what many actresses have done wonderfully well with it. But that to come so late, it's not a gradual thing. She's a child. Final 30 minutes, we get the arc of a life. And some people might see that as a flaw. I never have. That's just the way that this piece is structured. That's just the chronological nature of it. And obviously, it's just a cherry on a Sunday for a performer to get that strip number. I mean, just the arc of that, the beauty and the elegance of it through the years. Yeah. It's just a treat. It's just a treat for any performer. So the way that we do this is we go number by number, and then we will have what I like to call an intermission. And in that intermission, we're going to talk about other productions and dream casts, and then we're going to go back to number by number for the second act. And then after that, we're going to put through our personal top 5 lyrics, and then we will cross-check our top 4 songs and put in those 4 songs into the ultimate Stephen Sondheim song canon. So let's start number by number with the overture, Will. Yes,
Whoa.
I'm doing the overture. So many people cut it down, which I think is an incredible, just an incredible dull choice. This overture, Patti LuPone was talking the other day about, I say the other day, years ago, but she was saying what she hates about doing musicals nowadays is that she's so lazy and she doesn't like having to move scenery herself. And, you know, she likes the men in black just coming in the darkness and moving things. And she loves a big overture, she said, and she loves the curtain down, and she loves the entr'acte. She loves the orchestra playing as you leave. Again, I couldn't agree more. These are my favorite things about the musical. When we went to see Sweeney Todd, the 2012 production, again with Imelda Staunton and Michael Ball, the curtain was up. And this was the first time my mum had ever seen a curtain, and my grandma had ever seen a curtain being up. And it's great. It lets you see the set. It brings you into the world, but there's nowhere to go from there, really. I mean, I know that's a big understatement.
It works for Sweeney.
Works for Sweeney because you had the people coming in, and it was like, wow, wow.
Yeah.
But
I bet it was the.
Well, that's all Hal Prince. Like Cabaret was the first show, I believe, to have the curtain up, and everyone was like, "What? What? I don't understand." But I do. But
I'd love to do that.
The problem is now that it's like they've gone the entire other way around. In that it's weirder, not weirder, but it's like, oh, there's a curtain. it's like, oh wow, there's a curtain this time. What's the set going to look like? And I find that more exciting.
Yeah. I think that they've done very well. Stuff like, let's see, Back to the Future, where they make that an extra. They've got like a sort of opening just on the curtain, haven't they, before they lift it?
Yeah, it's all screens and all that sort of thing. I think obviously it lends very well to this piece of Gypsy in the classical tradition and this world of the dying world of vaudeville. I mean, they've got the placards even, you know, they've got the placards from the original text, and they're coming down, and it leads us through. Obviously, it helps tremendously with just the amount of settings and amount of time periods we cross. And also there's a little bit of editorializing from Lawrence of, you know, like the bottom and happy birthday and those like little things that again just set a scene. It's just one of the most iconic overtures of all time. The Barry Manilow's Showstoppers album, which he did live, has an overture of overtures, which is this incredible medley of overtures. And what's the first thing we hear? Ram bam bam bam, ram bam 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 bam. It's those classic trumpets that lead you in, and then immediately you're into Jocko's Funhouse. I do find it funny where there's like halfway mark before we go into Small World. Well, no, it goes in ram bum bum bum, ra da 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 da, and you think it's done, but then it leads into Small World again. What was I going to say? Anything else to say, Will, about the overture?
Not really. I think it's very nice. Obviously, it was a bit different watching the recorded production because there was things to watch, but it's different when you're sat there and there's music.
Well, I mean, I've never seen Phantom and not got goosebumps on. You know,
it does. The only time overtures do annoy me, because I love an overture, like King and I think is one of the greatest overtures of all time. But it's when the old fashioned, when they used to do the filmed productions like King and I or Oliver, the musicals, and it'd just be a still picture and all the credits come up very slowly and you listen to it. I never
Are you talking about the film, like the films?
Yeah. That never did it for me.
I don't mind it on like West Side Story when you get these weird lines and the Technicolor and then it eventually pans out and it's New York.
Oh yeah, that is a weird, yeah.
I like it, but I like it. It's like me. I'm an idiot. Like I'm an idiot. I like that my Godfather Part 2 DVD comes up with intermission. Like halfway at the intermission mark. I was quite annoyed that my Hateful Eight DVD didn't have the intermission break, because I thought, you've billed it as this having an intermission, and then on my DVD it just goes straight through. Now, I've never, like, I do abide it when I'm watching with friends or whatever, but it's like, now, the intermission, I want to, that's a break. It's like Once Upon a Time in America, the intermission, I think it's about 4 hours. And the intermission is placed, I think, at the 2.5 hour mark. And it's like, this technically is not a good place for an intermission when it comes to just timing and spacing, but it's the absolute perfect place following the brutal scene that we've just watched. And you're like, oh God, yeah, give me 20 minutes and then we'll see where we are. Which brings us into may we entertain you. So I want to talk about this. Annoying characters.
Versus
characters who are annoying.
Yeah.
Because this is a big thing I had with my ex. She would say this all the time. No, they're just annoying. Whereas they're supposed to be annoying, but they're still annoying. Where do you sit?
I see both sides. I'm not sat on the fence.
There's good on both sides.
Characters that are annoying are great, because you get that visceral reaction. That's why they're made. However, children, I can't do them. It's like, for me, it was most obvious when they did
when she does the shriek.
Baby June and the Newsboys, and then when it comes to Farm Boys, and it's just where just the young boys are singing and about to introduce her.
Yeah,
that I just don't like the way nowadays that kids are taught how to sing and act in musicals, because it's all very open your mouth very wide and over the top, and it's sort of, they're not singing it because they know the character. They're singing it because they've been told this is how you do that line, and then you put your arm there, and I'm excited now. I'm scared. It's stupid.
But isn't that absolutely perfect for Gypsy?
Yeah,
because they have been told all of those things by Mama Rose.
Yes.
Whereas I know what you're talking about with other shows. Yeah.
Matilda is a big example of it.
Matilda. I'm sorry, everybody. I don't like Matilda. I love the film so much. I don't like the musical at all. And also, I find it weird that there's like 4 adults. Like, what? Why are there 5 adults and then 8 children? It's just such a stupid, weird choice. And I know it's just to make more numbers. It's like, what do you think we are? Stupid? So yeah, so like the original, and then obviously you get Rosa's entrance, and I mean you have the incredible, just sing out, Louise, and that's just one of the all-time lines of all time. And I was watching the Patty bootleg and just a rapturous applause when she comes, the 5-minute ovations and all that sort of thing, which of course we were making fun of, I think last episode with Hugh Jackman. Gentlemen, you amaze me. and all that sort of thing. There was a little bit of a delay on the applause when Imelda came, and I thought, they're not doing it because we're a good British audience, and then they did, which is completely understandable. She's our greatest living. Well, there's Judy. She's our greatest living musical performer. How about? Yeah, I'll say it. She did Follies and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf back to back, following what, a 6-month break after this. She is incredible.
She's very good.
She is our finest gem. She is a legend. Sondheim absolutely adores her. He was just like, yeah, I want you to do Mama Rose, and then I want you, let's, and then they do Follies, and I don't know how much he had to say in the casting of her in Follies, but it's like, yeah, like just get her in, and she clearly adored him. I rewatched her Olivier Awards acceptance speech. She said, and thank you for Mr. Sondheim, who's been my champion for the past couple of years. He really is the Shakespeare of musical theatre, and that's got to help. It's just all down to him, and there is a deep love and admiration there that is constantly felt. Is there any Sondheim roles that you wish that you wanted to play? I think there's one big one left that she could do exceptionally well. Other than that, she's done my top three. The Witch, yes. But of course, she was already in Into the Woods. She was in the original West End production of Into the Woods with, she played the baker's wife.
Oh, was that the weird West End one where it was like a milk shop?
Yeah,
no,
it's the original. No, you're right. It's the original West End production, which is
awful. Yeah,
and also everybody forgets she was Dorothy in the National Theatre's Wizard of Oz. Like long before Andrew Lloyd Webber, did it. They did a production in the early 90s, or was it late 80s? Either way, I think Jim was in it. I think he played the lion. I might be completely wrong. I might be completely clean.
That's weird. I always find it weird that Andrew Lloyd Webber did Wizard of Oz, because he just wrote loads of new songs for it.
He just wrote 3 new songs for the Wizard of Oz. Yeah. It's like the witch doesn't have a number. It's like, what? Whereas I was in Wizard of Oz, I played the Tin Man. And you don't think of Wizard of Oz as a perfect show. You think of it as a perfect film, but it really is another perfect show.
It's great. I love Wizard of Oz. Yeah. I auditioned for the Tin Man.
Did you get it?
No, I was too young.
I was given it on spec, and I was young. So how about that? And don't worry, Will, you'll be my Herbie. So in the original, it's now in the archives. The original line was down on 2, down on, up on 2. She was saying that, just up on 2, down on 2. And then there's like a big red line through it, and then it just says sing out Louise. And it's one of those like historical documents where it's like, oh, you've caught history here. What do you think of Uncle Jocko's Scottish accent?
I think it's great. I like his hair and his hat.
Yeah, and he's
which I had a sneaky look at the original. It's the film, isn't it?
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Oh no, it's just it seems to be a staple piece of that character. He's got to have the wacky hair.
And you should see those balloons. It's just I will get any kid on this show if the mother or the sister has it off with me. And then Rose comes in and you just go, oh my God, we're in the hands of a master. I mean, especially with Imelda. Let's talk specifically whilst we're in all this sort of stuff. So yeah, Imelda, I mean, you're in the hands of an absolute complete master. I mean, just the way that she and then she goes, stop sucking your thumb, Louise, Mr. Conductor, it would be a pleasure. And the way that she's back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. No breaks, no nothing. She's a shining bullet, just driving through. And even then, when they are performing, she's finally got them performing, and she has to jump in. And she has to jump in repeatedly. And I now realise that Will's frozen. And then a very specific Imelda thing that I very much enjoy when she comes barreling onto the stage is I will do some kicks, and she's not singing out, and she does the whole, can you hear it? I can't hear it. She's mouthing along. It's just hilarious stuff. And Bizarre's an odd one, but it's like, it's not a big opening number, really, is it?
No, it's more chaotic than anything. You just completely into this sort of birthday party mess.
It's one of those things. The overture is the big opening, and that sucks you in, and then we're into a scene, and then Some People kicks in, and then you're into the rhythm. It's a quite it starts quite oddly. I mean, the character of Mama Rose is so large that perhaps you have to meet her, quote unquote, in person first, rather than immediately in a song. If Some People open the show like Oh What a Beautiful Morning, she literally came on, sing out, Louise. You know, what are you doing here? I'm their mother. Some people can get a thrill. I don't think it'd work as well. The overture is big enough, the character is big enough, and you bring it in. And then over the course of the next scene with the father, you get even more of the truth of the matter and even more of her devotion. And, you know, she's eating dog food. That's dog food. That's what he thinks. I'm hungry. You know, she's just so devoted. And it's this first act, and it's these early scenes, and later, it's all throughout. But there are many, many choices, little choices that an actress can make that completely flounder a production. Pardon me. If you don't exemplify the care that she has, and I mean, it's all in the writing, so it would be a truly terrible performer who manages to ignore it. But if you don't emphasize that care and love, and you don't emphasize that it's all for the kids, with, obviously, as we go on, you know, with Rose's turn and the things she confesses in that final scene, that, yeah, maybe it was for her a little bit as well, then you're going to lose a production. Pardon me. You're just going to lose an audience, because there's only so much you can take. Like, I was rewatching a Graham Norton interview, and she's like describing the character. Like, she was telling a story of the mouse getting caught in her coat when she was in the middle of at the start of the show. And she's telling the stories, and she has to say, yeah, I'm playing this character of, you know, the showbiz mother from hell. And I was thinking, is she just saying that for just, you know, it's Graham Norton and I have to be a little bit funny? Or does she genuinely believe that? Because I don't think her performance here exemplifies that at all.
I 100% see all of the care in Imelda's. I think it is the most caring of the performances. Maybe that's because Patti LuPone has played it. And I really just can't see that.
Oh, no. I have a big, strong take about Patti's performance, but we'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to that later. But I think Patti does something that I don't think any of the other mothers, any of the other Madame Roses have done. But yeah, we'll get to that when we get to that. And that scene with the father, immediately we're introduced to these things. It's for my girls. It's too late for me. You'll leave them just like your mother left you. And this thing of leaving and walking out. And also, sort of, Herbie becomes a placement for the father figure. And Rosa's dad here, you know, I love you, Louise, and, you know, stay, you know, go to bed, Louise. And there's clearly a thing here of, you know, the dad thinking, oh, Louise will be the one to get out. Please don't drag her into June's too far gone. There's a lovely care. And obviously it leads us into Some People, which sometimes talks about in Finishing the Hat, about how weirdly it starts, whereas because everybody else apart from Imelda goes for the, like, Patti, you know, I'm gonna get my children, I'm gonna get up and get out. Some people, you know, the get out is so high. Even Murmur, get up and get out. Some people, it's high and then immediately down. And Sondheim talks about in Finishing the Hat how actually that's a little bit clumsy. And I was listening to it in this Imelda version, and she even slows it down a little bit. And because all of the Patti versions are sped up, and that's incredible for Patti's delivery, and she just fucking rules every song. It's incredible. But they return for Some People to the slow. I say slow. It's a slower pace, and she goes to get up and get out. Some people. It's the same line, and again, I think it leads into a build with some people. I think if you weren't convinced by Imelda Staunton's incredible prowess as an actress and as a singer, then some people will more or less blow you away. Is Some People in your top four song? Top four, Will?
It is.
Yes, it's in mine too. No, we're not going to talk about this. I want to know what your four choices are. I think we'll have the same three, and then the fourth will be. I mean, we definitely have the same three.
Two. Well, I think we have the same two.
If you don't have, right, because I know you have Some People, so which one are you not? Anyway, right, okay, we'll get there when we get there. Wow, okay. You know, the original Broad, obviously there is, you know, you ain't getting 88 cents out of me, Rose. That's Sondheim on the original Ethel Merman Broadway cast recording, because he was just in the studio. You ain't getting 88 cents out of me, Rose. I found that very funny. In this, we have the first introduction of the Imelda Staunton bop to the left and right, which is something I've noticed, where she goes, "Some people can get a thrill," and she does this little bop to the left and right, which I do greatly enjoy. And this obviously culminates in the medal stealing. So for you, Will, I think Some People puts you on the right side of Mama Rose, because I think the opening scene, it's enjoyable, it's funny, she's an outlandish character, but Some People shows you, no, this is a devoted woman, this is a devoted mother, and this is a clear dream that she wants to fulfill for her children. And I think it's a very effective, and obviously it's an incredible song. It's a timeless song, and it will be appearing in our canon. But why do you like Some People so much, Will? Why did you want to put it into the canon?
It's just such a punchy song, and I love that motif is heard throughout the rest of the musical. Then you always get that.
I mean, it kicks off Everything's Coming Up Roses. They think that we're through. I was thinking earlier about how, you know, top 5 lyrics, how are we not going to sing them?
I can speak them.
Well, you can speak them, I won't. Anyway, so then we enter into a montage of kidnapping multiple children.
Yeah. My favorite. What's your favorite? I like the Scouts.
So I have. So there's here. So there's the tap dancing child. There's the Boy Scout, and then there's the child of the father in the car, who literally goes, "No." So that's probably my favorite, because that's just completely a felony. I mean, they all are, but I mean, again, so we're constantly in a tug of war in the first act, I feel, between who is this woman, and then, oh, no, she's really doing her best. She's kidnapping children. And then we have the Herbie scene, where we meet Peter Davidson and not his brother, Brian. Yes, Doctor Who. Which Doctor was he? He was after...
Fifth.
Who was he after?
He was after Baker. He was 5th.
Yeah. Late 80s?
Yeah.
Have you ever gone in for all the classic Doctor Who, David? Will?
The Odd Couple, because they're only 20 minutes long.
No, not the Odd Couple. Not the Odd Couple. Doctor Who.
No, not really. Not really.
Neither am I. Classic delivery here from Imelda. You're not married? Because I think she's just hilarious. She's as talented a comedic actress as she is a dramatic one.
Oh yeah.
Was your introduction Dolores Umbridge?
No, my introduction was as the chef in Nanny McPhee.
Oh yeah,
I have it in writing.
Also, isn't she in The Water Horse?
Is she? She is the water. She plays the Loch Ness Monster.
She is our greatest actress. She was the Water Horse.
I don't think she's the water horse. I think that's Emily Watson.
Oh, no. I know who I was thinking of. Brian Cox. No. No. What was I going to say? I'm going to Google the Wizard of Oz production that she was in. You talk about Herbie and their lovely relationship.
Oh, it's great. It's really good. It's a lovely relationship.
Talk about them meet cute.
Yeah.
Talk about
I like when
it.
they have dinner together. And it's very nice.
It's all right, I'll save you. So yes, it was Jim Carter. Simon, yeah, and nobody else who I know. That sounds ignorant, but it's true. If all Christmas shows were as marvelous as The Wizard of Oz, Christmas time would have been nearly so unbearable. Ian Judge's production has a magical exuberance and an irresistible storytelling sweep. Wow. He also directed The Mikado. Okay.
What Mikado?
The Mikado. You know what I don't like? When my charger doesn't work. Well, that's just me, I guess. Oh, that's probably because it's not plugged in. I'm a Burke. Right. I asked your kids about you. I think it's one of those things where I was listening to a podcast about Gypsy, and they're on about how when it comes to casting Herbie, all you have to be is sexually compatible with. I know, yes, because they must be.
Yeah.
They must be having sex, and so when you look at the castings through the years, yeah, Ethel Merman and Jack Klugman, yeah, I can see that. You know, Carl Malden in the film, great actor. Rosalind Russell, less so. Anyway, I'm talking about the acting rather than the performances. But Boyd Gaines and Pat LuPone, yeah. I mean, they really sex it up. And cute it up. Small World is basically an erotic number now in the hands of Patty. You know, she, takes where Imelda makes a joke of, after 3 marriages, it takes a lot of butter to get into the frying pan. She makes that a joke, but Patty just goes, after 3 marriages, it takes a lot of butter to get you in the frying pan. And she's like grinding against a door. It's like, okay. It's also like how her little priest, they just make that sexy. It's like, what is happening here? But again, we'll get to that. With Michael Cerveris, not with George Hearn.
Oh, bless him.
Oh, liar.
I love George.
I was going to say, this is enough. We're going to be talking about Imelda multiple times. We're going to be talking about Patty multiple times. We're going to be talking about Mandy Patinkin multiple times. We're going to be talking about George Hearn multiple times. Elaine Stritch. We haven't even talked about Elaine Stritch. Oh my God. This is a great series. Which leads us into Small World. So Stein apparently got annoyed with Sondheim and his lyrics, saying, specifically the line, "Funny, I'm a woman with children." And Stein said, no man can ever sing it, because he was thinking of hits and he was thinking of writing hit songs. And we go back to the catalogue of hits that he talks about with Sending the Clowns, where it's like, he just couldn't resist putting in specific lyrics to make that song work better for the show rather than be a hit single. I mean, obviously that's better for history, but maybe not better for his bank accounts. I think he'll be doing fine. But yeah, that thing of no song is general. Do you like Small World as a song? That's not in my canon, but do you? I like both Small World and
I like
You'll Never Get Away from It.
I think that the chemistry, the way that Davison does it, actually, it's a bit dad jokey in a way.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's a bit like, oh, that usually helps. And it's just cheeky but old fashioned. I like it.
Yeah, when Imelda, when Rose finally says, "I want to marry you," and he goes, like that sort of thing. And like later when Together Wherever We Go, And you know when he's doing, I'm not being a part of this wherever we go. It's these classic, dad jokes like you were talking about. Do you, of the two love songs, which do you prefer, Small World or You'll Never Get Away From Me?
I like Small World.
I like both. I'd probably say I prefer You'll Never Get Away From Me. I think I say big issue. It's not a big issue at all, because obviously the show works tremendously well as it does, and has worked tremendously well for over 70 years. I think you could make the choice of moving You'll Never Get Away From Me into the second act and evening out song distribution a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think you could make that argument. However, I would be making that argument more firmly if the book by Arthur Lawrence wasn't as strong as it was. This really is a case where the scenes are just as strong as the songs. Whereas in so many musicals, of course, those scenes, you're like, oh, fuck you know, give me a song. Especially in those like classic, the Rodgers and Hammerstein form.
Oh, yeah.
Great, great for the time. And you can sit back and take it for what it is. But it's very, like Arthur Lawrence was just one of our greatest creatives, an incredible writer, incredible director. He just knew exactly what he was doing, and wrote some wonderful words. So basically, a lot of the fact that Herbie can't sing and doesn't have a song is down to the fact that Jack Klugman just couldn't sing at all. You might know Jack Klugman. Have you seen 12 Angry Men, Will?
I have.
He's one of the angry men, Jack Klugman. And basically, he just couldn't sing. And they did write a song for him in the second act called "Nice She Ain't." And Sondheim and Stein. So basically, one of the guys in the burlesque theatre was going to get, she's a real nice lady, and he'd sing this song, "Nice She Ain't, but I love her," all that sort of thing. And Stein and Sondheim came to him with the song and said, "We want to do this song. We'll play it for you. Think about it. And then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll put it in or not put it in." And Klugman went home, had stress nightmares all night about forgetting the lines, about singing badly, and came in and, in his own words, told him to fuck off. Or something to that. I think it was fuck off. It definitely took me back. I was like, whoa. All they did was write you a nice song. And so, and you can hear it on the original Broadway cast recording. I mean, "Rose, I love you, but don't count your chickens." It's like, oof. So that kind of is the reason why Herbie doesn't really sing. In this production, the end of Small World becomes a lovely duet. And there's a bit more in You'll Never Get Away From Me. It's just a very believable, meet cute, and they're just two divorced people and finding love again, and it's just delightful. And obviously sends us down. Well, you know this. I love tragedy and sadness. And so the second act of this is just like catnip to me. Everything going wrong. I'm just like, oh yeah, this is so sad and horrible. Yay. But of course you have to have the joyous first act for that to work, and you get that here. And then Baby June and her newsboys, come on, extra.
Oh, bloody hell.
They say never work with kids and animals. This production makes you do both. Poor Louise with her beard and Uncle Sam outfit. And then it leads into the transition, which I dare say was done better. So do you remember now, Will, my usage of this? Yeah. I even used the same March. I believe it's called March of the President. Anyway, it's just like, wow, why on earth was that? I was just throwing anything I could into that. But anyway, it was just a shitty. For those of you who don't know, obviously everybody, all of you, it was just a shitty A-level piece. So okay. We need a transition. Okay, let's just do the Jerome Robbins Gypsy And then they all messed it up. But anyway, that's another matter entirely. Then we get the happy birthday surprise scene. Poor Louise. They're all grown up now. Obviously, they're all grown up. And poor Louise. We think poor Louise. But then they did remember. Happy birthday, Louise. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Flat. Just a great gag. Just a great gag. And we get introduced to the lying about the ages concept. None of you are above 10, which is a really funny. It's a really, really funny joke in that scene.
Because
and then we have
it's funny
Goldstone.
because it's funny because it's the first time they're all actually adults.
Yeah. And then we have Goldstone, but then immediately we're into Little Lamb. And it's like, I wonder how old I am. And it's like, wow. Immediately slap bang into the truth and the sadness of it all, which is entirely in many ways what Louisa's character is there for. Tulsa gives her a book gift, put a note in that. I want to talk about that in a moment. It's just like, oh no, you don't need to wrap books, Tulsa. Oh no. And then we get Goldstone, which I think is a purely delightful, hilarious, and brilliant song. Sondheim calls it a list song at its most egregious. It sweats with effort.
Wow.
But it just has that big group number joy.
It's currently in my top 4.
It's my 5th. Now I wonder if we have the same. Oh, Gypsy's here. There's the bell, follow me. For those of you, if that horn doesn't pick up, then I'm going to look like a nutter. Yeah, it's currently my number 5th. I wonder if you have the same 4th. Yes, well,
It'll be interesting.
Can
we pause for a minute?
Yes, we can. So Goldstone's marvelous, and it's big, and it's high octane, and it's huge, and it's wonderful. And then suddenly, without a scene in between, without anything, dee dee dee, dee dee dee, Little Lamb comes in, and it's beautiful and it's haunting. I read some analysis of how she can't, of how she sees even fake animals and fake objects as real to her, because all she's ever known in her life is theatricality. I think it's more simple than that. I think she's just looking for any friend. Poor Louise.
But little do they know because she's going to be Gypsy.
Well, yes, she is going to be Gypsy. Yes. I was going to say, what little does she know, she becomes to be a lamb farmer. I mean, if this was Dear Evan Hansen, then there'd be a whole lamb sanctuary. One day we played with lambs. We played with lambs. You know what's lovely is that all of these songs start properly and don't start with,
yeah.
I had a lamb one time when I was a kid. Just a little lamb, I couldn't think about it. But then the lamb came up to me and now I know. Little lamb, little lamb, little lamb, little lamb, little lamb. I don't like Dear Evan Hansen at all. La La Land is the only good thing that Pascal and Paul have ever done.
The same people.
Yep. La La Land, Greatest Showman, and Dear Evan Hansen.
Oh, bloody hell. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Robbins cut it. Jerome Robbins cut Little Lamb.
Did he?
He just cut it, and then Jules Stein came up and told him that he had talked to with his lawyers and would be withdrawing his entire score if Little Lamb wasn't put back in. And beyond time, why would you cut this? Then you have really nothing with Louise in the first act. Yeah, they don't dance, darling. I love how Jerome Robbins' impression is just, they don't dance. It's like vicious. It's like Ian McKellen. Oh, oh. Have you seen Gods and Monsters, Will?
I haven't.
It's Ian McKellen's. There was Ian McKellen's best chance at an Oscar, not Mr. Holmes. It's very, 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 very good.
Mr. Holmes is terrible.
Very
Was
nice.
that really his Oscar bid?
He was nominated, I believe. Yeah.
Was he? But it was terrible.
It was very bad.
We like to play the glass cups.
But Gods and Monsters is great. Watch Gods and Monsters. Well, Ian McKellen, Brendan Fraser, Lynn Redgrave. Basically, it's Sunset Boulevard, but gay, and with Ian McKellen as Norma Desmond.
Oh, brilliant.
It's excellent. It's true as well. It's based off James Whale, the guy who directed the original Frankenstein. Anyway, it's great. Anyway, not the Kenneth Branagh Frankenstein, which I also greatly love. I do love the Kenneth Branagh Frankenstein. That's just one of those movies that I watched so much as a kid that it's just second nature to me now. I know every beat. It's probably the only. Sometimes I think, am I literally the only kid in the world who used to have Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and watch it weekly?
Yes.
But what if there's somebody else? Oh no, I know there is Kenneth Branagh. and Emma Thompson. I look at life from both sides now. Heartburn did it first. Bitch, drop the mic. Okay. I love the way that Madame Rose talks about other people. I mean, obviously some people is a whole song, but the way she talks about, these girls aren't going to cook and clean and die. I think it's that thing of, it's one of the most famous lines in the show, because obviously it's on every cast album because it leads you into some people. But it's like, I'm going to get up and get out. It's just that thing, getting out. And obviously the great stealing of the silverware and the final spoon. Could I have a spoon to do my tea? And then she drops that in as well. And then that leads us into, you'll never get away from me. Delightful, which we will sing very soon in our production of Gypsy. I would be a great Madame Rose because I combine Imelda and Patty and Lansbury, less of Merman. Go on.
Oh, and I'm Will.
and I'm Tom.
And I'm also here.
Which then leads into my favourite of the Dainty June numbers, Dainty June and her farm boys.
Yeah, and the cow.
I think this is genuinely just really entertaining and really fun.
Yeah.
All the moo jokes. And also, poor Louise, moo. I've seen this how many times? Ridiculous amounts of times. I laugh every time. Mo. She's a very special friend of mine. Mo. Just a little lyric I really enjoy. The train is late, so while we wait, we're gonna do a little dance. just bullshit musical theatre stuff, just leaning into it. And then watch this, it's a train. Dooba. And this is the one with the most interference by Madame Rose. She's helping them along now with the canes and all that sort of thing. Are they two good tap dancers?
They're not as good as the boys.
Who are you talking about? Oh, are you talking about Louise and
the boys?
June?
Yeah.
I am talking about the boys. Is it?
Oh.
Are they?
Oh, are they too good? Are they too good tap dancers?
Oh
no. You could argue because they drop the cane and they start doing that at different times of the arms that it makes up for it. But
I can believe it with Tulsa because that's his character, and Tulsa's just really great and is practicing all the time. And obviously we're going to get to that in a moment. But Then we have Granzinger's offer to put June into acting school and to be an actress. And this is the first sign we see of Rose's cracking, basically. You are a star and I made you one. You know, he's trying to take my baby away from me. And then when Herbie comes back in, your mother isn't feeling very well. I'm going to take her back to the hotel. Just terribly, terribly upsetting stuff. Will, what do you think of this scene? He's going to tell us in just a moment when his better half has resumed her position on the bed. That's because there isn't a chair. I should have explained.
That was very
I was going to say. I should have explained. There isn't a chair. That is why she doesn't just wait for him. It's not the Mad Men episode. Great episode though. Will, what do you think of that scene and the offer of Granzinger offering to be an actress?
I like it. I like it actually, because for Mama Rose more than anything, because this is what she's been working towards, and we start to see that her work is paying off in that transition, and it means all of the previous agonizingly painful numbers have been worth something.
Yeah, it's the as I say, it's the first sign of, oh, this literally could mean the end of her if these kids leave her. I think it's all building up to the final straw, isn't it? And obviously that's what gives us Rose's turn. It's the final straw. Have you got a flask of tea?
No, I'm just gonna I've got my water for my flask and my mug for my tea. But I might switch and swap.
This is a lovely birthday cocktail shaker, but also just doesn't there. It just doesn't have. It's just anyway.
This year for Christmas, I got 2 flasks.
Because you can never have enough flasks. As Leland Willoughby tells us, I have a lot of shoes. You can never have enough shoes. Which leads us into If Mama Was Married. I think one of the most underrated songs in the show.
Yeah.
We bring it. Oh, go on.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of this number.
Are you?
I'm perfectly honest.
Oh, that's all right.
It's fine. It's fine. But yeah.
Bring in the animal motif again. 5 canaries, a mouse, and she just loves animals. Does Louise? You know, I'd get all those hair ribbons out of my hair, and once and for all, I'd get Mother out too. If Mama was married. Here's a question, Will. What would happen if Mama did get married? What would actually happen?
We're assuming it's to Herbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Mama, yeah, that's what I'm saying. If Mama married Herbie,
nothing would change.
I don't know. Like, is it in the world where they don't need somebody to go on for that fight for that star striptease, and they do just go and get married? Would Mama Rose try to get Louise back into show business in some way or something? I think she just have to let it all go. Mama's got to let go. Which does lead us into one of my favorite numbers in the show. It won't be in the song canon because it's not one of my favorite songs, but All I Need Is the Girl. Here we have the incredible Dan Burton performing it. And we have her
in my top 4.
Really?
Yeah. I don't have Rose's Turn in my top 4, Tom.
That's absolute dog shit. That is just not going to happen. Get a fucking grip of yourself. I want some, you know, an older woman who loves Gypsy to turn this on. Like, oh, they're talking about Gypsy. Oh, these are 2 lovely young boys. And then cut to this debate and just hear me just violently. I'm sorry, Will, there's no way that we're not having some people, everything's coming up Rose's and Rose's Turn in the top 3. I will give you All I Need Is the Girl if that means that can happen. but also like just that is just not gonna that is the top three. And I made you a star. This is my show. Why? Right, we'll get there in a minute. But that's Jesus Christ. You've thrown me off for the entire show now. Right. Talk about your favorite song, Will. Talk about your favorite show.
I just think it's a really, really sweet number.
Well, in a couple of months, we're going to go see the Glass. Well, yes, of course. This has led every one of your choices. That's why you had Maria and Something's Coming. You have to think objectively, Will. I don't want to sing Rose's Turn at all, but I know. Well, no.
Yes, you do.
Well, here's the thing. In a couple of months, we're going to go see the Glass Menagerie together, which is one of our favorite plays. And we're both romantics and we're both sad tragedy boys. And we love nothing more than we love more than anything the Glass Menagerie, Jim and Laura romance and the tragedy of that. And this is just that in one scene, isn't it? And it's Laura and Jim, and and they're dancing together. And it's the first time we've seen Louise truly, truly ecstatically happy. We have glimpses of humor in If Mama Was Married, but this is just pure joy and happiness. And obviously Dan Burton's dancing is absolutely incredible. And it's just pure joy, and it's pure love, and it's pure romance. And then obviously we get the incredible kicker. Oh my God, where have I got it? It's a keen act, ain't it, Louise? I've never seen it. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's just like rip your heart out. I mean, God. Yeah. Anything else you want to say, Will, about your favorite song in this show?
It's nice. It's nice, isn't it?
So then we get this. Here we go. This is just take me home, baby. This is just like just 10 minutes. Just take me home. This is the best 10 minutes of most people's careers. And Imelda did it 8 shows a week for 8 months. So the Herbie echo back. How long is it going to take you to get used to me, Rose? And then immediately Rose cuts back. You ingrates! You steal the bread out of this man's mouth. Good riddance to bad rubbish. They were rotten in the act anyway. Okay, she's okay. So she's on one, and then that turn. And again, I'm going to bring it to Glass Menagerie. One of my legitimately, maybe even my favorite line in any play ever is in Glass Menagerie, and things always have a way of turning out so badly. And this has another one of those with.
Is that the very last line?
No. It's when Jim leaves. The very last line is blow out your candles, Laura.
Oh, it is famously.
The biggest distance between two places is time.
The fourth dimension.
It'd be funny if Tom came forward and just went into the Twilight Zone. The biggest distance between two places is time and space and the fifth dimension. Blow out your candles, Laura. A small woman with a gimped leg, and her mother, an over oppressive woman trying to find her gentleman collar. This is a sort of relationship that you can only find in one place: the Glass Menagerie.
Your Rod Serling impression sounds like comic book guy.
Did you just Google Rod Serling?
Yeah.
You Googled Twilight Zone host, didn't you?
That was my exact. Yeah.
What did you think Rod Serling's name was?
I had no idea who it was.
At all. You just know. No. You were going to say Disneyland, Disneyland Paris. Yeah, and we have one here with something's funny. Something's very funny. And then obviously Rose sits down once the letter comes out, and she has that 10-yard stare whilst Herbie does the most heartbreaking monologue of all time. We can have kids, and we can do, and then we're in, and Louise is in, and we're all happy. We're all going to be happy, Will, aren't we? Everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
And the second act is going to just be happy families. Great. And maybe they'll do a little show. Everything's going to be fine. I'm used to people walking out on me. And you go, oh no, oh no. And the stage directions here. During the last monologue, Rose slowly gets up and brushes Herbie aside as though she has not heard a word. She walks over as though in a trance to Louise. Her voice is flat and deadly calm. I'm used to people walking out. I mean, okay, now, this is my favorite line in the entire show. And I want to talk about this now, because to me, this isn't funny at all. I mean, you could see it as darkly funny, but to me, this is just pure horror drama. This is the crux of the entire show. I made her a star, and I can make you now. I'm going to make you a star. I'm going to make you now. And the way that Imelda delivers it with that inflamed look, and yet people laugh every time. And I think it is quite funny, but also I just see that as completely horrifying. What about you, Will? Do you find that to be a funny line?
It can be. I think, yeah. I'd agree with you. It's almost a cry for help, an obsession.
Mm. And Louise, I mean, just her blank face through this. Well, and then here we go. Nothing's gonna stop us.
I wish she was wearing the cow costume in that scene.
We do get the cow on the box, which would be quite distracting, I feel, if I was watching it in person. And then I had a dream. Oh my God. How is it? This is just one of the best musical performances of all time.
Did you ever get to see it?
No. And then my mum rubbed some salt in my wound the other day. She said, I'd like to see Gypsy. And I said, I came to you and told you that Gypsy was on with Imelda Staunton. And can we go see it? So thank God we had the DVD. But I did go and see Sweeney Todd in 2012 with Imelda Staunton and Michael Ball.
Yeah. And was Thingy in it?
Peter Policarpo.
No,
yeah.
The pervy comedian.
Ooh, what?
No, that was on that. You went on his quiz show.
Jason Manford. No, I saw Jason Manford in The Producers. Let the record show. Will got it wrong. Will was talking about a different pervy comedian. You weren't talking about Jason Manford, were you?
Yeah.
Allegedly. Why do you find Jason Manford pervy?
Have you not read the allegations?
Just a bad sense about Jason Manford.
You keep on with Jason Manford's Wikipedia.
Well, I'm not derailing. We're going to talk about Everything's Coming at Roses. I'm not having my Everything's Coming at Roses moment. I feel like June. You're my June. All allegations, anything made against Jason Manford, the opinions of William Leggetter, the opinions of William Leggetter, not Carruthers, Leggetter, whoever, the opinions of all commentary. Everything's Coming at Roses is one of the greatest songs ever. Full stop.
Yeah.
Is this not in your top 4?
Of course it is.
Well, I don't think you can say of course anymore, Will. You've lost that right with your... Oh, Jesus Christ. Wait a minute, let me figure this one out. So you've got Goldstone and All I Need Is the Girl. Anyway, all right, we'll get to that in a moment. Jesus. So Sondheim on Imelda. You should hear the way she sings Roses. It's like you've never heard it before. Couldn't agree more. It's got the speed of Patty's version. It's got the intensity of Lansbury times 10. It's opera. It's beauty. It's elegance. It's fire. It's power. I sound like Bruno Doglioni. It is so.
You look like you had a migraine.
It is so sexy when she talks to her daughter. No, this is just one of the greatest theatrical moments of all time. Robbins didn't like the title. Sondheim got very angry and said, "But that's her name."
Yeah.
It's like her sales pitch starts off quite jovial. You know, it's a sales pitch, and she's doing the Imelda bop right and forth again. You know, you'll be swell, you'll be great, but then she just can't lie anymore, and the true emotion of it comes through, and she throws Louise away for the final refrain. It's not about her more than Louise, but that she is so totally overwhelmed by the intensity of her dream and the passion in this blind optimism and the slow approach on "you can do it, all you need is a hand," and the grab of the face, and again building up. The final quatrain is the greatest moment of Imelda's career. That's just, I know I speak in hyperbole a lot, but that is just the greatest moment of her entire career. Everything's coming of sunshine and Santa Claus. and it's just, how can you not? Anyway, do you agree, or is this, or is all I need is the girl better?
Oh no, this is the best song in the show for me.
Yeah. Well, will it top our ranking? Okay. Which brings us to intermission. Intermission. Go and get your ice creams. Okay, let's talk about cast albums and other productions. So we start off with Ethel. I listen to all of these because I'm a true podcaster. No, Ethel Merman, original, very slow. Like every song was just slower. It felt very weird. Will, do you want to break again?
No.
Ethel, it's just everything's slower. And it's like, some people can get a thrill, and everything's just so much slower. It's not that she's not great. She's obviously an icon of musical theatre. But for me, just didn't work. Sorry. Then the film. Natalie Wood is absolutely incredible. And she does all of her own singing, unlike West Side Story. She's sensational in it. And would be an Oscar nominee for me personally. Rosalind Russell is fine, but just doesn't do any of her own singing. It's all Liz Clark. And the film is just, it's just very fine. Basically, producer Melvin Leroy was with Ethel all the time and promised her the role and said, "We're not doing the film without you." And then Freddie Bristol got his wife the role. Now, Elaine Stritch, one of my favorite people of all time, called Freddie Bristol the Lizard of Ross, referring, of course, to his marriage to Rosalind Russell. So speaking of Elaine Stritch, in 1973, Elaine Stritch was announced for a West End run. However, not enough capital was able to be garnered on her name. So then a couple of years later, we got the first ever West End revival. The first ever West End production, and that was with Angela Lansbury, and it was written and directed by Arthur Lawrence, and it eventually transferred to Broadway in 1974. Now, Rosa's Turn here gets a standing ovation, and Arthur Lawrence notes that now, whereas before everything builds up to Everything's Coming Up Roses and nobody liked the second act, everything builds up to Everything's Coming Up Roses, and then everything builds up to Rosa's Turn, and the whole thing builds up to Rosa's Turn. I'm sure you disagree. Bonnie Langford was also in it. It didn't say who she played, but she was in it. Rex Reed reviewed it and said, "The most exciting thing since V-Day. It was a football game. Grown men cried unashamed. People cheered through a 15-minute standing ovation." Oh, there you go. Then in 1989, the Time Daily revival, pardon me. Jules Stein was involved in this one majorly, as well as Arthur Lawrence directing it again. Jules Stein commented, "About 6 months ago, Bette Midler wanted to buy it for a movie. We wouldn't sell it because they'd only destroy it." Stein died in 1994. The year before he died, he saw Bette Midler do the TV movie, which was fine. But again, a bit weak vocally. Bette Midler is an incredible singer, and I know I sound insane saying this, but it just wasn't my favorite at all. It wasn't the best performed, and it wasn't the best sung. So where do you land there? Where do you go?
I've not seen that.
It's free on YouTube. 1998's New Jersey production. Betty Buckley was in it. However, more importantly, Laura Bell Bundy played June, my absolute queen and goddess, Laura Bell Bundy. Come back to us, Laura. I know, like, you said you can't do a musical anymore because your voice was ruined by Legally Blonde, but please come back to us. Do the shoe thing again. Anyway, then let's talk about this. So the Bernadette Peters, Sam Mendes production. So originally, Patti LuPone says that he came to her and said, we want to do this with you. And then it all fell through, which Patti LuPone is still very bitter about. So Sam Mendes, obviously revolutionary director, you know, he did the big revival of Cabaret that they've then revived for the past 15 years, just doing the Sam Mendes production. He did a version of Company,
That's
which we're going to look at.
One.
That's the Alan Cumming one with Jane Horrocks, yeah, which was then taken to Broadway with Natasha Richardson and Alan Cumming, and then was revived 5 years ago with Michelle Williams did it for a while, Sienna Miller did it for a while, Emma Stone did it for a little while, all with Alan Cumming. And then, so Sam Mendes. And it was like, oh, Sam Mendes is going to do this. Because he did Company and he did Assassins for Sondheim. So currently he was a bit of the Sondheim golden boy. It was like, oh, he's reinventing shows and he's doing them in an interesting way. Oh, this is exciting. It was like, oh, this is exciting. Before Marion Elliott just made neon versions of shows. Exceptionally well directed ones and beautiful looking ones, but just a neon version of every show. Anyway. And then it came to the production and they cast Bernadette Peters. Bernadette Peters is sensational in certain roles. Now, this is going to sound like I'm saying that she can't be. Do you not like Bernadette Peters at all? Oh, well.
It's all right. I do. She's a legend. She's very Bernadette Peters. In the same way that Patti LuPone does Patti. They all do their own things and they don't do the musical.
I think it's fair we're going to talk about Patti in just a moment, don't you worry.
Yeah.
But I think it's fair to say that I'm obviously a devoted Patti LuPone fan. I'm not a devoted Bernadette Peters fan. And this is going to sound like she can't play any role with power or strength. But she is extremely good at playing vulnerable characters and delicate characters. And that's just not Madame Rose. There is power to the witch, but it is a cunning, mysterious power. There is power to her Sally in Follies. There is power to her Dot in Sunday in the Park with George. It just wasn't there with Rosa Stern. And then also you've got the big thing, Arthur Lawrence talks about this. It's in the bones. Some people have a musical in the bones, some don't. Some can't direct musicals. And so basically the big thing was that they have the glorious overture and then the curtain came up and it was a blank stage. And then this old man came out with a cigarette and he put the first placard down that said Uncle Jocko's. And Arthur Lawrence just said, who the hell thought that was a good idea? This, and then like all the critics, sort of railed into the production, and it was sort of critically lambasted, and that was that really.
Poor Sam.
I'm sure he's fine. And then when
Arthur decided I'm going to do it myself for Patti, and I'm going to do it properly.
Yeah. So right, when you say that Patti does the same thing every time.
No, she doesn't do the same thing every time. She does Patti LuPone. It's not, oh, I'm Ava Peron now. I'm Patti LuPone in Evita.
Okay, all right, okay.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. A little bit. I know what you mean. Patti LuPone is a goddess, and I love Patti so much.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my biggest thing. This is why, Petal Upon has done something that no other production of Gypsy has done. At the end of the show, Rose comes on, sorry, Gypsy Rosalie, so Louise comes on and says, you really would have been something. And Rose's turn is predicated on Mama Rose saying, you know, I could have been a star, you know, if I let out what I had inside of me. And then every time it's this manic breakdown, and it's this, at times well sung, but it's this manic mania. Patty makes it a show-stopping, I mean, it's always a show-stopping number, but Patty makes it a belty, beautifully sung power ballad. And in that one number, you go, oh yeah, she could have been a star. And I think it's genuinely the first Gypsy production where you go, oh no, I get that part of it.
Of living her dream through her kids.
Yeah, instead of living a dream that she could never have because she didn't have any talent. Yeah. She has an abundance of talent, you know. I think it's incredible. And also I think it's just the best song the songs have ever been. Not the best acted, not the best performed, but the best song they've ever been. I of course love Patty. Have an egg roll, Mr. Goldstone, have a chapstick, have a chapstick, have a cha. I like Patty a lot. Which leads us on to dream casts. Do 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 do. They're casting a film tomorrow, Will. Who do you want in the role?
Can I put Imelda in?
I was going to say Imelda.
Yeah.
Yes. They're making the Follies movie. It's going to be directed by Dominic Cook, who directed the Imelda Follies. Imelda has movies under her belt. If people are worried about that, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. So Liza Minnelli expressed interest at a time. I could see that. Elaine Stritch. I would love to see Elaine Stritch in the role. I mean, Elaine's dead, but you know, these are dream casts through the years. So Streisand in 2011 was announced to produce, direct, and star. Then it all got caught up in rights issues. Barry Levinson got caught up to direct with a Richard Legravenez script, who did The Fisher King and Behind the Candelabra. Wonderful writer. But all that never came to be. If you could, who are the people throughout the years, Will, that you would have liked to see take a stab at a theatrical production of?
Meryl Streep.
Can I just say this now? I don't like that Meryl's one of the Sondheim women nowadays. I just don't like it. The Sondheim women, to me, are the six that were there at the 80th. Patty and Audrey McDonald and Elaine and, well, no, Bernadette Peters wasn't there at the, anyway, it's Bernadette and it's Elaine and it's Audrey McDonald and it's Donna Murphy. And then I'd put in Imelda now, and I'd put in Christine Baranski. Meryl's done what? The Witch, and she did that fine. Everybody loved. Everybody loved the Ladies Who Lunch. Oh, we're all getting drunk on Zoom. Very, very funny. She's sorry that I'm not the biggest Meryl fan in the world. I'm sorry. I'm a huge fan. But singing's not her best part. Let's just say it as it is. So you would be into a Meryl Gypsy?
Oh no, I wouldn't watch it.
You wouldn't even watch it?
Oh, I would watch it.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, anyway, that's that. Which brings us to the end of intermission, which brings us to the opening of Act 2. Olé, everybody. My name's Louise. What's yours? You go, oh no.
Oh, here we go. What's she done?
You know, and the blonde wig business. It makes her look like a star. Which leads us then into Together Wherever We Go. Now, this currently, Will, is my fourth.
Oh,
Do you not like this song? Oh, Will.
No. No, that was my old, because that's currently my 5, but I'd happily put it instead of Mr. Goldstone or All I Need Is That Girl. Let's replace All I Need Is That Girl for me with Together Wherever We Go, because that's the one I've been singing.
But you're not, 1 minute. If you do that, then I can't give you a song, which means that you just have to give me Roses Turn, Some People, Everything's Coming Up Roses, and Together Wherever We Go.
Oh.
Because if you're giving me Together, then that's my 4. And I can't give you anything to keep Roses Turn.
What are you saying? You can't remove Roses Turn?
I'm not removing Roses Turn. You will be better off getting blood from a stone. The 4 songs are Some People, Everything's Coming Up Roses, Roses Turn, Together Wherever We Go.
Yeah.
Are we locking that in?
Okay.
Ah, yes. I win again. Just like the Bee Gees. You win again. Why do you like this song so much, Will? I agree with you. This is the one that stuck. This is the earworm.
This is just really fun, isn't it? And it's funny, and it's very brush up your Shakespeare sort of mid-act to we're having a fun time song.
It's bringing everybody back. It's Krupke in West Side Story. Even though you're following the Rumble, which we've talked about before on the multiple West Side Story podcasts, it's just a terrible placement. But anyway, we all take a bow, including the cow. I like in the Patty version, she goes, "Hey!" Nothing by threes. No, this way, Louise, together. So Ethel Merman wanted to cheer up Cole Porter, who'd lost both of his legs, amputated, following a riding accident. And so they went and played him a couple of songs, and they played him this. And Sondheim heard an audible gasp upon Amigos on No Fits, No Fights, No Feuds, and No Egos, Amigos Together, which was, I believe,
that's in my
top 5 lyrics as well. Yeah,
hey.
and obviously that's the 4th rhyming line, and he heard an audible gasp because he didn't expect the 4th rhyme. And Sondheim says, "Anytime I need an ego boost, I conjure up that gasp. It may very well be the high point of my lyric writing life."
Oh.
It's just delightful, and again it returns us to first act, Rose, where there's a couple of glimpses of, hard on our luck, we're gonna, it's Mickey and Judy, let's put on a show. It's that attitude, and it brings us back to that before we reach slow placard rolling up the bottom. And here we are, and we all know, and I mean, I can only imagine a Broadway audience in the late 50s going, "Oh, finally, this is the show we get," I mean, I'm sure they were enjoying it thus far, but it was like, "Oh yeah, this is where we came. She's a stripper." I think you forget a little bit because you spent so much time with her as a child. I think that's its own thing. And we're finally face to face with the death of vaudeville. Nobody could say we didn't, last until the very, very end. And then I have here the world's saddest and most bitter marriage proposal. And for me, it's not out of love at this point, it's out of survival. She knows that she needs a man. She does love Herbie in so many ways, but this is what you get, unfortunately. And it's this, the day we leave here, I'm not marrying you in a burlesque theatre, the day we leave here. And of course, it's that tragedy once again. But then immediate tragedy followed by, "You gotta get a gimmick." Just hilarious. Still using the same original Robbins choreography. It's one of those things where you just can't beat it.
Really?
Yeah, it's the original stuff. I put here that it's the last humor of the show. And that's not exactly true, because there are a couple of very funny lines in the end. Like, "Funny, we could both wear the same size." And all that sort of thing. It looks better on me than it does on you. and all those like final jokes. But this is the last really funny number. Once I was a schlepper, now I miss Mazeppa with my revolution in dance. And of course, if you want to bump it with a trumpet. Very fun. Do you like You Gotta Get a Gimmick, Will?
Yeah, it's a fun one.
It's a fun one, yeah. And then here we go. We're into the tragedy. We're just about to leave. We need somebody for the star spot. She got done soliciting. Oh, Jesus Christ. We know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. And whang. Herbie leaves and we're into the strip. When, so how much did you, so this was the first time you were watching the show more than the music, Will?
Yeah.
What did you think of these well, not twists, but these narrative turns of Herbie leaving and all that sort of thing?
I really enjoyed them because I'd always, before probably watching it, just seen it as this sort of just Rose, really. That's it.
Yeah,
it's just it's a one person show.
Well, Herbie doesn't have any songs on the soundtrack, so you're not going to think he's you're not going to go, oh, who's this guy?
Oh, it was. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it a lot.
It's
well, I didn't enjoy it.
It's painful. The whole family shouts, it's because we lived by a railroad. That was a pretty good Imelda. Anyway, so let's talk about the strip. I mean, just a marvelous performance by Lara Pulver, who we've not said yet is Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
I shouldn't just leave it there, should I? Well, it's not Astrid. It's not Astrid. That's Kylie Minogue in Titanic. It's
what are you thinking of?
The name of the Sherlock Holmes character.
Oh, no, it's
Twilight Zone host.
I'm a
Irene Adler. Irene Adler. Yeah. Irene Adler. She was that in the. She never came back, or did she? No, she never came back on Sherlock, did she?
No.
Anyway, she was too busy being absolutely sensational and winning her Olivier Award for Best Supporting Actress. And I love that she starts off quite jokingly, and she's still to the end of the strip keeps that humor. Obviously, it becomes more elegant and I'm French, but she keeps a bit of humor about her. But in like the second one, I'm getting used to this. Oh, I quite like that. Oh, I quite like that. And she's still laughing and joking, and throughout it's just a beautiful progression. It's a beautiful performance from Lara Pulver. And Laura Benanti as well, who was in the Patty production, also does a wonderful job. Laura Benanti, another great love of mine. Leads us into the final solo monologue, talking to herself, Martha, at the start of Act 3 of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which within another year she would be playing. It's just so sad, and it's the breakdown. And here it is pure. There's none of this Patty, I'm a great showman thing. I mean, we start off with a little bit of, I'm making fun of the strip, and I'm doing it myself, and I don't like them egg rolls, Mr. Goldstone. But then immediately it just all fades, and it's so sad and so powerful and so absolutely incredible and delightful, and not delightful, delightfully dramatic and sad. So yeah, Jerome Robbins' original concept for Rose's Turn was as a ballet, where everybody would come onto the stage from both acts, finally getting Tulsa and June back, which would mean that the kids would have to stay for another 2 hours. Whereas in current productions, they bow at the end of the kids thing, and then they just go home, don't they? Yeah, it works quite well. But they couldn't work it out. And then he said, can it be a song? So, Mama's talking loud, Mama's doing fine. That was supposed to be a reprise, like the rest of the build-up of Rose's Turn, from a song called Mama's Talking Soft, which would come after You'll Never Get Away From Me. But basically, it was the kids watching it, and they had the kids on this high thing looking down. But the way that Sondheim tells it is the girl playing Louise kept crying and was scared of heights, and so she could never go up there, so they had to cut it. But it was going to be Mama's talking soft, and it was like, maybe we'll be with Herbie, and so they kind of put a bit of that into If Mama Was Married. Sondheim again. Self-delusion is at the heart of plays from Oedipus Rex to Death of a Salesman, from Othello to Streetcar. And then he's also said that he stole the Mama was just stolen straight from Streetcar. And he says that creating Rose's Turn with Jules Stein was the high point of his theatrical life. Now, I think that this was completely Sondheim's composition. Entirely. And the way that he writes about it in Finishing the Hat leads into this theory. One of the songs I built it on, Mama's Talking Soft, It's All I, was cut in Philadelphia, but I couldn't remove the diction without collapsing the whole number. So it remains with the audience missing the reference, and I regret to say it doesn't matter. It's all I. I think you can hear it. You can hear it. It's like all the atonal melodies and bringing everything together. And Mama, da, 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 mama, 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 mama. There's nothing like that in the rest of the show. When they first showed it to Ethel, she said it's sort of more of an aria than a song. Which to me is obviously what makes it so wonderful. And those incredible moments of like pin drop silence that in this production they even hold for even longer before Mama's got to let go. I mean, what for you, Will, knocks it out of the top four?
Just because I had a bit of a bop to the others.
I bopped to Rose's Turn. I sing Rose's Turn all the time. This has been a great fortnight for me, singing all of these Gypsy songs. I've greatly loved it. I love all of these songs. And then we get the ending with Louise coming back on and saying and then the ending, Gypsy Rose Lee, and her mother Rose. Da, 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 da. And I mean, they can't even wait for them to walk off. Immediately, audience rapturous applause. And the minute Imelda's shadow appears for the bows, everybody up standing ovation. She got a standing ovation every performance.
Oh, I bet she did.
I mean, how can you not? And also, it's not like in fucking America where everything gets a standing ovation just for showing up. We're British. You have to earn it.
Oh no, I do always stand.
No, I don't at all. I hated this one play that we went to go see, and I just hated it. And somebody was talking to me after, and they were like, "But you were rude. You didn't even stand." And I was like, "What? You don't have to stand. You should stand when you want to." Anyway, that's personal. That's just my personal opinion.
Do you watch standing on a certain
mega mixers? Get the fuck out of your seat, everybody down.
Because you stand and then you just stood there clapping for 5 minutes.
You know what's terrible?
Joseph's the worst example of that.
Well, Joseph's the worst, full stop. No, you know what's terrible is when people behind you don't stand up for the mega mix and you feel entirely bad. And you're like, why am I feeling bad? You are the dancing queen. And you have to be like, you have to keep anxiously looking over your shoulder at this couple who don't want to stand up. We went to see Footloose at a very, it was just in York on a Thursday afternoon. And it was hardly full. It was a matinee on a school week. It was just like the middle of York. And like 5 very drunk, let's just say rowdy women were having the time of their lives. I mean, we were all for it. We were having a great time too. And then this couple just moved because every single song they'd be up dancing, which I don't know would be okay normally, but it was like nobody was there.
Was that the one with Maureen Lipman?
It was the one with Gareth Gates.
Yeah.
That was the bit where they really got excited when Gareth Gates got his kit off and he's got all ripped.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
He did indeed.
And they got the fan
Enough
machine
for
out.
a hero. Anyway, enough about Footloose.
I
Gypsy.
could talk a bit more about
We
Footloose.
could talk about more about Footloose. Gypsy. Will, what are your top 5 lyrics? Will's frozen again. Will's back again. Will, what are your top 5 lyrics?
I've got the one with no fits, no fights, no feuds, no egos, amigos together.
Mhm.
I've got and any IOU O's who me oh no you oh no we oh together.
Yep.
Very good.
Very good. Yeah.
I've got now's your inning, stand the world on its ear, set it spinning. That'll just be the beginning.
That'll
I
be.
like that.
How can you say these words? Anyway, go on,
I just
and
love
continue.
how Goldstone takes a turn with have a Goldstone Mr. Eggroll.
Oh,
I love
that's like
That's great.
the first one I wrote down. Have a Goldstone,
Yeah.
Mr. Eggroll. Tell me any little thing that I can do. Have some fried rice, Mr. Soy Sauce. Have a cookie. Have a few. And then
Great.
the immediate lyric after that is "What's the matter, Mr. G?" And all I could think of was "Mom."
Mr. G.
I could
My name is Mr. G.
3 talents. 1, 2, 3. When are we doing
1, 2,
Mr.
3.
G episode? Not Summer Heights High. Mr. G, the musical, the episode.
We stick it in the Sondheim.
Just
I could have. We genuinely thought it was.
and then we post an apology video. Hi guys.
Yeah.
We're so sorry. We didn't know that Mr. G.
And then my final lyric: some people can thrive and bloom,
Living life in
the
a
living room.
living room.
Yeah.
Yes, that's also fine. So I have, some people thrive and bloom, living life in a living room. That's perfect for some people of 105. I also have, if I sing B flat, oh, we all both sing B flat, oh, we all can B flat, oh, together. Just very funny. Not necessarily a great lyric, but a very good joke. Then my 2, I'm sorry, well, I have to sing this. Everything's coming up, roses and daffodils. Everything's coming up, sunshine and Santa Claus. Everything's coming up, bright lights and lollipops. Everything's coming up, roses for me and for you. Wonderful. My singing. And then, of course, how can it not be? Well, someone tell me, when is it my turn? Don't I get a dream for myself? Starting now, it's going to be my turn, gangway wall. Get off of my runway. Starting now, I bet 1,000 this time, boys. I'm taking the 1,000. Specifically, 1,000 and boys, bows out. That's just like beautiful stuff. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, what a king. We know what 4 songs are going into the canon. Exciting. So now here we go. So first song entering the canon. I think we can agree of the 4 together wherever we go is our least. Least?
Uh,
What do you want to put in first? Let's just put, that's okay. That's together wherever we go.
I want everything's coming up roses first.
You think everything's coming up roses is the worst?
First.
Oh, okay. So, okay, let's do this then. So, does everything's coming up roses? Yeah. Can that boy foxtrot? Yeah. Sooner or later, yeah. Love is in the air, yeah. Invocations. Is everything's coming up roses better than somewhere? I'd say yes.
Yeah.
A boy like that, and I have a love.
Yep.
Yes. Tonight quintet.
Yeah.
Something's coming.
No.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Yes, because I have my 4 songs, so I'm just gonna make this easier on everybody. Just not complain. No fits, no fights, no fuse, and no egos. Not today. Not today.
Today.
Today I piece of clay. Okay, next up. Everything. So, sorry. I put everything's coming up. Roses. Okay, Rose's turn.
Uh,
You got the canon in front of you.
I'm trying it. The sheet's not loading for me, but
It's okay.
I'm happy to. That comes.
I'd say
That's
right.
annoying that because I think it's better than something's coming.
Well, oh, sorry, you can't pull this shit now. Suddenly you're all on the Rose's Turn train. Let's just put it there because I think this is the first full-blown Sondheim we can rank.
Okay.
On the top, yeah. Okay, so cut. No fits, no fights, no feuds, and no egos. Amigos. Okay, so Rose's Turn is currently our favourite Sondheim song. Then followed by, Some People, better than the four incidentals. I'd say better than, no, just before Somewhere.
Really? Yeah, okay.
Or would you say better than Somewhere?
No, I think under Somewhere.
Okay, so just before Somewhere, we'll do Some People.
I hate how Rose's Turn is a different font and it's very tiny.
I'm going to sort that out after. Where do you know that this is a shared doc? You can do whatever you so wish.
I'm on view only mode at the minute.
It's on this. It's the same font, by the way. It's just small. Okay, so where do you want Together Wherever We Go? After Some People?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so our current ranking. Tiger. Together. Wherever we are. Okay. At number. Pick of the Pops. Here we go. Pick of the Pops. Tony Blackburn. Will go back and forth really quickly from 12 upwards. 12. Can That Boy Foxtrot?
11. Sooner or Later.
Love Is in the Air.
Invocations and Instructions to the Audience.
Together Wherever We Go.
Some People.
Somewhere.
Oh, the sums are a boy like that. I have a love.
Tonight Quintet.
Everything's Coming Up Roses.
Something's Coming.
Whoa.
And
Rose's Turn.
Oh, fantastic. And that's Gypsy. Will, any final thoughts on Gypsy?
Watch it. It's very good. I wish I could see it, really.
We'll see a Gypsy in our lifetime. Hopefully we both live long lives.
I hope so.
Well, no, actually, I don't want us to see Gypsy. I want us to be in Gypsy.
Yeah.
Tom, I love you, but don't catch your chickens.
But realistically, you'd be Herbie and I'd be Tulsa.
Well, you are a talented individual. You are not that good a dancer. Will, did you just forget that half of the... Yeah,
I forgot that.
It's a lovely audition extract, that first minute, but then there's 5 minutes of incredible dancing. Should I get up where Dan Burton studied and like all the theatrical dance training you did, or should we just...
Thank you.
I love Gypsy so much. Next episode. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum. We're doing the 1966 film starring Zero Mostel of The Producer's fame, who was also in the original Broadway cast recording. And I believe that Michael Crawford's also in the film.
Oh, we love Michael.
This is a first for you, Will, isn't it?
It is.
A couple of these songs are going to be some of your favourite Sondheims of all time. I'm going to put money on it now.
Wow, very excited.
Yeah, just pure farce, just pure comedy, very funny. And that is Gypsy, which brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you very much. Will, do you want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Yes, bye. I'm trying to think of a Gypsy lyric. Everything's coming up, roses and daffodils. Then you do the next bit.
And orchids and
sunshine and Santa Claus. And everything's coming up. Oh, now I forgot.
Roses.
Roses and Daffodils, Sunshine and Santa Claus, Something and Lollipops,
Brown paper packages.
Tied Up in Strings. These are a few of our favorite things. Rose.
Da ba da ba da ba da da.